Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. So our next session, I'm excited about. It's salary negotiation, which is something I wish I did. It's a great skill to have. And we have two presenters from the CSUN Career Center, Nyla Delferis and Patricia Gaynor, and they're donating their time to help us understand how to negotiate our salaries. Also, just a reminder of the evaluation. We do need those evaluations at the end of each session. So thank you so much and enjoy the session.
Okay. Hello again, everyone. We definitely would have a more intimate conversation, but we want to make sure that we can be well recorded and well heard. So we're going to stick with this. But before we get into some specifics, some logistics. We have a packet in the back called Salary Negotiation Start Smart. Be sure that you grab the celery-colored packet as well as the blue article on the art of salary negotiation and any other handouts back there or the hand sanitizer or candy that looks interesting to you.
Candy?
There is candy. Okay, I called it sugar earlier. There's some mints and things like that. And Patricia and I will start off by introducing ourselves. Do you want to start off first?
I'm Patricia Gaynor. This is working, right? And I am an assistant director at the Career Center. I work primarily with seniors and anything having to do with getting out in the world and going to work, employer relations, workshops such as this. So I'm the one that you generally want to speak to if it affects trends in industry, and even though everyone in the office knows all these different things, but that comes out of mostly my area.
And again, I am Nyla Jolly Delferis. I work also as one of the assistant directors. I've been in higher education for over 20 years as well, and my passion is helping folks get to the next place. What's the next phase of their life's journey? And so that's why we're here to talk about this. Just a quick, want to check the audience and find out who's been to the Career Center.
Okay.
All right, there's a few superstars in the room who have been to the Career Center. So just so you know, we do serve all students who have been accepted and admitted to CSUN through alumni. So we are there to help you with the various phases of questions, decision-making, skill building, networking, contacts that you need, whatever phase.
Mocktail party.
Yes. How to dress, how to shake hands, what to order off of menus. We do lots of that stuff.
Panels, all
Yes.
kinds of things.
And because there are 42,000 CSUN students and alumni, we are a captive audience for employers. So do know we have very well-attended events, and employers are seeking you out. So that makes it a little bit easier. CSUN students and those affiliated with CSUN are in high demand. So now what happens once you are in the job search and starting to interview? And so I'm going to take it away,
Who
Patricia.
here is is looking for work, is going to be graduating? Anybody already graduate? Well, good for you. This is the time to be here, not when you're about to graduate. Do it as soon as possible. A little bit of an outline real quickly of what we'll be covering here. And I know we need to do a little catch-up time, and we really do appreciate being invited to this event because I think it's terrific. It's a terrific event. All righty. So, how to define negotiation? What's a negotiation?
A conversation? What kind of conversation?
What? There's only how many of us, and I can't hear what we're saying. Oh.
When two parties in the conversation try to get into a compromise and get what they both intend.
Great.
you.
Conversation leading to an agreement. Terrific. Anyone else want to take a crack at it? Did I see a hand? Nope? Okay.
What do you feel when you see the word negotiation? What feelings come to mind? Stress. What else? Requests. Something's being requested and asked. Anything else? What do you feel? Not being too pushy. There's a fear of being too pushy and you want to avoid that.
Or being pushed.
Or being pushed. Thank
Okay.
you. So we're going to cover this stuff.
So it's not all about winning and losing. It's about making deals that maintain relationships and drive the outcomes that are most important to you. A lot of words. Bottom line is, we are here talking about salary negotiation, but negotiation, like everything else that you learn through school and throughout life, is a skill. And once you have this skill, you're going to use it all over. You're going to buy your car by negotiating. You're going to get the job by negotiating for the job before you even get to the money part. You've already been negotiating with your parents since you were a little child for different things that you had to have. So it really is something that you already have it in you. Now you're going to expand on it, and you're going to take it throughout life. Okay, so get over being scared of the word. It's something that's really important. Okay. First off, we have to decide what is your worth. And another kind of tricky word. So you want to start thinking about this before you're actually looking for the job or being in the middle of the interview process. You're going to be looking for a job in a year or so. And part of your homework should be, where am I going from here? So instead of waiting, okay, I graduated, now what? Most of us do that. We're all guilty. But start thinking about, all right, I've accumulated this along the way. What do I look at, and how do I start figuring out what I'm worth? So you want to be thinking realistically as well. All of us, of course, we're all worth at least a couple of million, but maybe to our mother, maybe, but we've got to be realistic about it. So understanding your worth in the marketplace is the first thing you must learn. And how do we do that? Anyone? Do you have the nice thing? Did I bring it? Anybody have any ideas? Okay. I know it's a long day. We're tired, so I'm going to help you out here. You want to know what's the minimum salary in the field that you're going to be going in. And how do we even have an idea of that? Thank you. So, you want to be prepared for the negotiating by doing lots of research, which would mean that you're going out and you're looking at different types of periodicals, joining different organizations and such. And we're going to kind of repeat things throughout here because we want to get it in, grind it in. So it's the most important thing is that you have done your research, that you are being realistic about it, and that you do follow trends in your marketplace. You might have been in a field that was kind of useless years ago, and now guess what? It's rising to the top. It could have been in some kind of computer area that what is in computers now. Maybe you were interested in robotics as a kid, and look where it is now. So you've got to stay on top of trends and what's going on. That's really important. So the high end of your personal range will be, of course, your ideal salary. Whoopsie. There we go. I know this isn't real good, but how many of you have heard of or looked at the Bureau of Labor Statistics? Great. Very good. You want to tell us a little quickie about that, Nyla?
Sure.
Why it's so important.
Another name that you've seen for the Bureau of Labor Statistics is the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And it is just that. It's put out by the government, and it lets us know in like 4-year trends what's happening across a wealth of occupations. What kind of training you need, what's the typical salary or the range of salary nationwide. These days you can even get video play of typical workers in the occupation and the outlook. Are you going into a field where there is a lot of hiring going on or a little hiring and you need to be highly competitive as you enter the job market? Anything else that folks know happens in the BLS? That pretty much covers. Okay, so great resource. Get really comfortable with it.
And what makes it really outstanding is you can pick your occupation, area where you want to be, what's the minimum wage that the country is paying for that kind of industry, for that position. So you can be really targeted with it. So very important. Second, or I really think even first, is professional organizations. You really want to be a part of an organization that is related to your industry, or get online and look up these organizations. And many of them, such as NACE, will have salary surveys every year. And that will tell you, I mean, there's just a huge amount of information in there, so that you're not out there wondering, well, I'm not sure I know what I'm worth, but what are they going to be paying me once they get out there?
And NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers.
So, very important is to, here are some wonderful sites for you. Has anyone worked with or familiar with Weddles? Okay, I actually just learned about this recently. Terrific site for finding out what organizations are out there, where they are, what state. So say you're a graphic artist and you think you might want to work in New York. You would get on there and it will tell you the local organizations for graphic designers throughout the country. And again, the organizations are the ones that really have their finger on the pulse of whatever your industry is. The other is ONET, PayScale. A lot of you, I'm sure, have used Glassdoor.com. Yeah? No? You want to. And Salary.com, just a handful. I mean, there's lots out there. These are used, though, really quite a bit. Wonderful resources for not only salaries, but again, what's going on? What's the trend? Is this part of your field dying out? Is this coming up? You can tell just by the salaries and such how much the positions are in demand. So again, these are the kinds of things you really want to pay attention to.
And Patricia, for Salary.com, there are salary negotiation articles and videos, and you can also, if you're thinking about moving across the country, you can use Salary.com and all of these websites to see what the average salaries are in other parts of the country and what you should be looking at and negotiating as far as your ideal salary. So if you want to live in Manhattan or Honolulu, you need to make more than you would make here in Los Angeles, and way more than if you were in San Antonio. You know, you can feel very comfortable with the salary in San Antonio.
You want to know the cost of living in the area. Thank you, very important. So we have some worksheets that Nyla's going to hand out to you.
All right, we thought we'd spend a moment just starting to give you an opportunity to think about what is your ideal salary, what's important to you, and what will go into your salary negotiation. So first page in the green packet, the Start Smart packet, go ahead and open that up. And just thinking about, I know you might not have a job description in front of you, you might not be looking for work right now, but just keeping maybe a position in mind, go ahead and fill in my personal salary range. Think about your monthly budget, or funds that you need to feel comfortable. What's the low end of that budget? What's the ideal? And fill in some numbers there at the top of the worksheet that says pre-negotiation analysis. We're going to work on this sheet for
So we'll give you
a
about
couple of minutes.
couple of minutes, and then we'll get into a little more on that area.
Okay. And you can continue on down through the market range. You might not have done research, as well as your priorities. All right, so if you do those three areas, my personal salary range, the market range, and my priorities. Very good, very
And
good.
while you're doing that, I'm just going to explain a little bit about priorities. So once you have a good understanding of the salary that you think you want or what you're looking for, you want to know, you want to focus on what's called other priorities. And the other priorities, which will play a huge part in your negotiating, will be things such as bonuses, relocation costs, flexible schedules, telecommunicating, parking, vacation time, professional development, having your licensures paid for. So all of that's going to be rolled into that negotiation package.
So other things you might be considering as part of your priorities. Does everybody have something that they've checked off?
And by all means, if you have any questions or anything you want to add, we're such a small group, certainly just shout it out.
All right, so here's how you work that bottom section where it says strengths and experience. You would, when you're at the point where you are receiving an offer, or before the point, because that's the message here, before you go into the interview, you want to know what the employer is seeking. So you would fill out that column number 1 under strengths and experience. And then thinking about you, all of your experiences, values, your skills, knowledge, and qualifications, what are you going to bring to the table? Third column says, ooh, I exceed what the employer is looking for, I meet what the employer is looking for, or I do not meet what the employer is looking for. And guess where you want to start when you start your negotiations? You'll start with where you exceed them. This will be your leveraging point. So any place where you can check off, hey, you know, I know more than just the basics of PeopleSoft. I have actually trained others on PeopleSoft. That will be your leveraging point.
And I know how to train.
And I
Great.
know how to train.
So what Nyla was just saying all adds up to what you call your negotiation story. And a negotiation story is really important when you get in there with the HR people and you want to tell them things like, well, I do exceed at this particular area. I've been working with people and my customer service skills and such for many years. And that becomes part of your ammunition, shall we say. That puts you up here instead of down here, because maybe you're lacking in another area. But this is what they're looking for. So you want to be sure that you have that negotiation story practiced, and be ready to go in there with that, okay? And that way you really can have a nice, comfortable conversation. Okay, we'll go on. Great. So here's your negotiation story. It includes illustrating values and impact of past accomplishments. And don't be afraid to use what you've done in school. If you haven't had anything outside of school that, that you feel is really makes you a rising star, which isn't true. You want to think about it. Even if you worked at Macy's, you've been out there, you've been working, you've been balancing your schedule, you have time management, all kinds of things happening there. So the overall value you'll bring to the company, you want to tell them basically why they need you, okay? So again, you want to rehearse. What employers think you're worth, that's where it all comes down to, actually. So we spoke of your market value, and this is how it's determined, not so much as what you think you're worth or anything like that. It's more determined by the company's position in the market, meaning are they a large company, are they a small company, are they a brand new startup, have they been around and established for years, how well they're doing, because maybe they're caught in a real financial situation, which is why you want to read business articles and such. And what competitors are paying. Because bottom line is, they're not going to get good people if they're paying $30,000 less than the other companies. So these are the kinds of things that they use to figure out your worth. Also, your value is a combination of internal and external factors. All righty? So, internal and external, again, meaning what's going on out in the world, what is happening. Are companies offering extended vacations in your field? Have they been giving large bonuses in the field? That would be external. Internal would be that you're bringing all kinds of things. You're bringing college degrees, you're bringing licenses, as we said, professional development and such. So remember that internal, external is what forms the whole situation. Now we're really getting into the meat of things. Don't be so quick to say yes. Just like don't be so quick if someone calls and they want to meet you tomorrow and you have a final exam. It's okay to say, I'm sorry, I have other obligations. Can we schedule it for Friday? A lot of people get panicky. This is my moment. I don't want to do anything to shake the boat. How many have done that? I had a student miss the final for a job to work at a bar. Now, I thought it was an important part of their career. Granted that she needed a job and such, but she could have said, I have a final exam. You know I'm in school. Can we reschedule? Don't be afraid to do that. You get caught off guard, which is another reason to be careful if you only have a cell phone. If you see someone's calling you and you're in the supermarket and you've been waiting for this call, don't take it. You're not prepared, okay? Most important when they're talking to you is to listen. Don't be thinking, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? And your ears are pounding. You've got to hear what they're saying. How else can we negotiate eventually? It's a back and forth, and listening is number one. Ask for their offer in writing. And again, don't just focus on the salary. Remember we gave you that priorities list, and you may have another one. You have a priority that you want a company that has daycare in it. So things like that all become important to the job offer. Again, compare the offer to your pre-negotiation sheet. That's why we gave you that. And you'll come up with one on your own. You'll find other things you need to add and such. And once you've compared your priorities to the offer, you're ready to negotiate. Again, any questions or anything? Nyla and I love questions. That's why she's standing out there just waiting. Okay. The actual negotiation should be viewed as a collaboration and not a competition. Don't think of it as the old used car salesman situation that, oh, he's here to get me, he's here to get me, okay? Some people, a lot of people, especially if they've been doing this for years, it is a game to them. It isn't a gift. They want to see, how am I going to win? I'm going to get this person. So be sure that you see it as a collaboration, that both of you walk away satisfied. You may not have gotten your whole list, but you got what was important to you. That's what you're really aiming for, okay?
I think, and Patricia's going to cover this in a little bit, but I'm going to jump ahead and just say it. The key is that you are asking or going into the negotiation before you accept the job. So just remember that. You have a lot more leverage at the point where they are offering you the job than once you say yes and you're in the job. So just there are many, many stories of promises that, oh, we're going to increase your salary. We will give you a bonus. Start now at this salary, and later on, don't worry. You know, every year we do performance reviews, and we'll give you your salary increase. This is when you have the most leverage, is right when they're offering you the job. So this is when all of this is happening.
Thank you. Another internal is if there's someone with a similar position in the office, and we're not saying someone who's been there 30 years, we're talking about pretty level to this position, a parallel, and they're paying them $50,000. They are not going to get away with paying you significantly less, because that kind of thing gets found out, and it never is pretty. Okay, so these are the kinds of things that are also part of the internal. And if you know people in the company and such, these things you can find out. You always want to, again, that research is number one. Okay. So the ins and outs of negotiation. 6 steps, but the steps can go on and on and on. I came up with 6, okay? Again, research. And don't forget, you were already researching that job before you even applied for the company before you applied for the job. Research goes on. So negotiation, and this means you're going to be making another list, and there are your priorities again. So it's in your head now, but you've written it down, and you know you've got that little list of yours, and you're not going to panic because you're all prepared when you go in. And again, this is all happening after you've received that they're ready to negotiate with you because they're already giving you the offer. So you want to map out the concessions you're willing to make. When we say concessions, that means, okay, I'll give you the Barbie dress, but you've got to give me the Barbie car. Not, here's the Barbie dress and you walk away, right? So you've been doing this all your life. It's almost like a trade where both of you feel okay with it. So this is what we mean when we're saying concessions. So it's really you're asking for something, like it says there, and you're getting something in exchange. But you're not getting, you asked for the Barbie car, and here's a pair of Barbie shoes. It can't be way beyond your expectations or what you're going to be satisfied with, because you're going to be dissatisfied throughout your years of working at this company. Did I hear a question? I thought somebody had was about to ask a question. Okay, so, and negotiation is both, remember, it's as much a hard skill as a soft skill, meaning, like we said earlier, that it's a skill that you have, but the soft skill is also knowing the language to use, using the language of the industry, not losing your cool about anything, and keeping it at an even level. So again, in a way, it is like playing a board game or something. So it's that give and take and keeping everybody where they're on an even keel. So you want to learn and investigate as much as you can about the bargaining partner's needs. Again, they might have this job, but you want to be sure that it goes beyond that little blurb you've read. What is it that they're really going to be needing from somebody? How do they see the day of this person? What are they doing every day at this position? What's the outcomes that they expect? And prepare to discuss your skills and accomplishments. You've got that on your lists and such already. And again, that's going to help you reach their needs. And again, practice your negotiation speech out loud. How many know about the elevator speech or the 1-minute commercial, where you're prepared that you get on an elevator and the president of a company you always wanted to work for gets on, and you have to be prepared to say,
Hi, I'm Nyla Delferez, and I've worked for over 20 years in higher education. I've worked with many different students, and I'm excited to pursue opportunities where I can continue to grow.
have your negotiation speech. That's very good. Very good. That's what you want to have with your negotiation speech. Doesn't sound practiced, but you've got it down pat and you're ready. Now, it's going to change, of course, from job to job, just like your resume does. Don't go in with this set pat situation. You have it, though, all set in your mind, and you're ready to go. Okay, so that's your 6 steps there. If anyone has a 7th or 8th, would be great. Remember, no is the beginning of the negotiations. I need to make such and such to meet my needs. No. Okay, let's talk, right? So, and in most cases, your negotiating partner has wiggle room. They're ready for this. They're ready for this. So don't be scared. The only time you will find something in higher ed or education and such, they'll give a range, and it's in stone. Sometimes a little wiggle room there too. But you know that budget is an issue, and you can only go so far. But try it. You never know. You won't take it probably as far as you want, but take it. Mm-hmm.
And there might be other things on the table. So maybe you can't negotiate money, but you can negotiate
Exactly.
hours that you're working during the week, or childcare, or continuing education. The package, compensation package, can be more flexible if they can't give you more money, and that's happened even within our office.
Yes. Or you found out and they didn't tell you, well, we do offer 1040. You can work 4 days a week, and they're not telling you this, but you know it. You might want that. That might work for you. So these are the kinds of things, if you've done your research and you're prepared, and be prepared for no's, you also have these counter activities that you can be doing them, or counter offers. Okay? So in the screening interview, they asked you, what is your salary or what are you expecting to earn? Now, you cannot lie about your previous salary if you're coming from another job. If you're coming from an hourly that you worked at school, that doesn't matter to them. But if you have a job and this is a job change, there's easy enough for them to find that out. Do not ever lie in any way. Even they're not allowed to ask you certain questions, but if you put on the application or I mean, they've even said people have been hired and then lied about their birth date. They got fired, and they can. So you don't ever want to get caught in any way of lying. And especially before you even started, that's really bad footing. And you got to keep track, what did I say? So remember, this isn't a bad date. This is important. This is your career, okay? If they ask what's your expectations, we always, of course, want to put it in their court. But that's when you say things, well, I have done some research, and I see this is what the industry is paying someone with my qualifications. And they're like, whoa, okay, so this person's done their business, and you know what? I really need a good researcher in this position. You never know. All right? So these are the kinds of things you want to be, again, have in that toolbox and be prepared. Here are some tips. Take things slowly. It shouldn't be rushed. Again, as I said, don't take that phone call or in the store and that kind of thing. Silence can be great. It can work to your advantage. A lot of us know about that even in relationships. So you don't want to be there with your jaw tight or anything like that, but you make a statement and they're waiting for you to say something. I've made my statement. State the number and then quit. Wait and see what they say to you. So you want your partner to be thinking about it. Maybe you have a figure because you've done your research and all. And you see he's thinking, don't panic and start saying, but you know what? We could talk about this. Wait and see what they say. And that's what's calling negotiating against yourself. You say, okay, well, I'd like to make $50,000. Well, you know what? I could probably make it on 35. Don't do that. Wait to see what they come back with. Don't argue or defend. Again, keep it that even keel. You know, they come back and say, oh, I can't do that. And besides, you're right out of school. You're not worth it. You just told them why you're worth it. Don't let them do that to you. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're this big. No. If they do, and a lot of times that's a gut feeling that you might realize, whoops, I don't know if I don't hear negotiating. I hear someone I may not want to work for. Always listen to that inner self too, okay? And try to understand, though, what's going on. This I love. Turn the money you may be leaving at your job into a signing bonus. My position, the present position I have, has offered me this much. Would you be willing to give me a bonus for signing on? And it may even work at the present job you have. I don't lie, though. They can tell that someone else is out there looking. But you can use these different things in your negotiation.
And again, you'll know your industry, your career field. You'll know what's usual, what the trends are, what's the culture of the company and your field. You know, I don't think in education I've heard of signing bonuses too often, but if now that the economy has shifted upward, you know, the accounting firms are offering these again, the engineering firms are offering these again. So know your field and what your leverage is again.
And you should have be forming what's called your posse. And your posse is the person sitting next to you who's also in your major, or they have an internship at the company you're dying to work for. So you're gathering people with your networking and such, and you're getting valuable information from them. You're coming to the career center and establishing relationships there. Business is all about relationships. It really is. Is that news to anyone? It should be. If you haven't really been out in business, you may not know about it. So don't be embarrassed. We raise our hands all the time because, well, that's new to us. We just learned about Weddle that's been around. Okay, so again, this is the big part is, and now you're establishing a relationship with the negotiator. And sometimes, and this happens a lot, it happened to me, you're applying for a position and they realize that it's not really right for you, or you're not ready for it, or maybe you're too qualified for it, but you've made such a professional impression on the person that's interviewing you that they will say, this is why this job isn't right for you. Call this friend of mine who is at a company that's incredible. It happens a lot. That's all part of networking too, where you call that person and end up with the job of your dreams sometimes. So always, that's why you always want to watch how and who you're speaking to. Talk to everyone, okay? And more. Think through your must-haves, want-to-haves, and nice-to-haves. Just like we always say, do you really need it or do you want it, right? I need that dress. Oh, really? Why? Are you going to die without it? So again, you want to really think about what's the must-haves, what's the want-to-haves, and nice-to-haves. And guess which one can drop on the floor? Sure. If you get it, though, wow, woo, what a negotiator. But be sure you didn't get the nice-to-haves and you didn't get the I have to have on the side, okay?
Yeah, but, and you want to know your walk-away point. You know, if you're being offered and you're going through negotiation and they really aren't able to meet your need, you know, you have to know what your walk-away point is. If you can't live, if you can't pay your rent, that's, you know, probably going to be the deal breaker and you're going to walk away.
Exactly. Or if you're not going to really get something out of it that's going to get you to the next step. Sometimes we have to live on noodles for the next year because the job is offering so much to us. Another thing, getting back to how to talk to people and such, there's a term called jelly beaning, and I don't mean the one that's in the Urban Dictionary. Does anyone know that term? Okay, this is very important too. You don't want to cut to the chase right away. You want to sit down and possibly do almost with a little chit-chat with the person and get on that even keel, as I've said before, and hit almost at an emotional level. It might be you notice a picture of their children and you can tell they're at somewhere that, oh, I went to camp there, or even a pin. Great if you have a woman that's interviewing you or negotiating, even it's horrific. You say, oh, what an interesting pin. And all of a sudden, she'll have a whole story coming out. Oh, my grandmother brought it over from the old country. You know, who knows? But it's a great way to get down to that emotional level where you've kind of met each other. The person starts thinking, well, this has a great personality. This person's going to fit into this company. Let's see what we can do to make it work. So that's always a very important thing that you should remember, especially anything having to do with business. You don't want to get straight into that, okay, let's talk now. You want to kind of ease into it. It gets a lot of mileage out of that. Okay. Again, be fair and reasonable. And once you've reached a decision or an agreement, live with it. You can't come back and say again, you know, I thought about this. You agreed, okay? You want the final offer in writing. And again, follow up with that commitment. We hear students do this a lot, and a lot of times it's hard to say don't do it if something fabulous comes your way, but if it's in the same industry, and all industries become very small, whether it's the television, which you think is enormous, advertising, people start knowing each other. You start running into each other. And you don't want to get known as that person that committed and then walked out on us a month later after our training because a better deal came along. Okay, very important. The big takeaway, your potential employer expects you to negotiate. A lot of people don't realize that. It's expected of you. They actually will respect you for doing that. Don't find that they might sit down and give you the world. You still want to negotiate a little bit, but don't be ridiculous about it. I mean, be happy. But they do want to see that you still have that in you, that you're going to, you have enough respect for yourself that let me see where we can go with this. Anything you want to add, Nye?
Just so I can kind of show you a couple of things in the packet that relate to the last two slides. The third or the second page in says job offer evaluation worksheet. So as Patricia was saying, your industries become very small. We know very well all of the other career counseling centers and their directors all across Southern California. We know when candidates are applying for our positions and that kind of a thing, you want to avoid burning any bridges. So as you're getting those job offers and you're getting into the interview process, be sure to really evaluate which of those offers, which of those jobs are most appealing to you as you go into negotiation as well.
And here's the statement. The real key word there is advocating. This is about advocating for yourself. Remember, by negotiating, you set yourself up for future success. Don't burn any bridges. So what do we mean by that? Existing jobs asking for a raise. If you are in a job or you find yourself in a job and you get this offer, you want to go to whomever your supervisor, manager, or such is, and tell them nicely that this is a situation, I'm accepting a position, and I want to give you notice. Usually the notice expected is at least 2 weeks. Sometimes because of the position it requires more. You should know that. So even when you're out looking for a position, you should be knowing that, and you're going in knowing full well, I do intend to stay the 4 weeks that you may require of me and such. You want to be polite. You want to leave on good terms. You had a manager that you detest, but you're going to smile and leave on very good terms. Why? Industry small. You might need them in the future for a recommendation or something. You might end up that they end up at your company eventually. Always leave on good terms with whomever you're working with and the company itself, okay? Also, then you can take all of these skills you've used and you can ask for a raise at your existing job. These skills are not just for going and when you have a new job offer. Maybe you started as an intern 3 years ago. They hired you. You're delighted. Now you've got a heck of a lot more to offer them. Let's sit down and talk about it. Again, all that preparation as if it is a new job. The good part is you have established relationships. You know the company pretty much inside out. You know all their bylaws and such. So you have that research. Now you go in and it's time to discuss the raise. Maybe again, there's priorities you need. Okay, I've since have gotten married. I now have a child. This is what I need. I need some flex time. I know the company does offer that. So again, you're all prepared for that. So don't think that you're stuck. I'm here. I'm going to have to go somewhere else because this is what's going on here. Only if you're ready to leave. But if it's an ideal situation, make it more ideal for yourself. Research shows, great points, 37% of people always negotiate. That surprised me. That's a nice amount, but not high enough. 44 only occasionally. 1/5 never. And those who fail, that's you. You're getting ready to negotiate, starting with their first job, stand to lose $1 million in their career. By the time you're out there and you're up there, it'll probably be a couple of million. So don't start on the wrong footing. Get going on that. Again, practice is great too. You're going to buy a car, practice your negotiating skills. Take your buddy, take your dad or whatever. Watch what he does. And in your head, you go and say, well, you know, Dad, you really handled this wrong. But you should be able to know whether he did it right. Always be learning. Always learn what's the way to go. So, let's negotiate.
Yeah, we probably will not have time to do the full activity that we
Right.
had in our heads, but I want to, I will give out an exercise that encourages you to write your story ahead of time and to practice it. So just so you can have the exercise that we were going to do, it basically, in the exercise, it tells the story of you as the graduating student getting ready to negotiate. And it's interview day. You didn't get a chance to find out the salary or the salary range for the position because it's not posted, and that happens a lot. And what should you do if you go in, if you're looking at a job listing and it doesn't show the salary or the salary range? What are some things you could do? Ask. No one minds if you call HR or the hiring manager and say, you know, just wondering about the compensation benefits package and the salary range for the position. That's okay. People do that all day long. So never go into the interview. My motto is never go into the interview without knowing your salary range ahead of time that they are going to be working from for the position. Anyway, so in this story that you'll see, the manager right then and there on the spot offers the person a job and gives them a salary offer that's $5,000 below what they need to make, that they've realized that they need to make. And so you need to get ready for that negotiation. So how do you do that? We give you the last page in the packet. The inside of the last page in the packet is your negotiating preparation worksheet. And towards the bottom, or the middle of that negotiating preparation worksheet, you will see, write out your opening statement. Prepare your justification. Use all of those wonderful aspects and characteristics of the research of who you are, what you're worth, what you need, and what you're bringing to this particular negotiation, and practice it.
Wow. I'm impressed. Anyways, you know that where we are, where to find us. And again, if you're not graduating, keep your eye on what's going on in the Career Center. We always have all kinds of things happening that will only enhance your skills and make you more marketable when you're negotiating.